Welcome to the Performance Enhancing Podcast. It's like steroids for your brain. A podcast for people looking to live life at their peak potential. Chock full of real-world tools and knowledge that you can apply in your life today. By providing you with a lens into the lives, beliefs, practices, and actions of those who are already living extraordinary lives, the Performance Enhancing Podcast will help you shift your mindset or create that change in your daily rituals and habits so you can explode with success in the areas of life that are most important to you. So get ready for another dose of Performance Enhancing Podcast with SatoriPrime. Here's your host, Ilan Ferdman.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another PEP Talk for Performance Enhancing Podcast. I'm your host, Ilan Ferdman, and we're going to continue with the conversations that Marci and Guy had out in San Diego, and gotten amazing feedback. People have been emailing me saying it's just been absolutely crazy conversation to eavesdrop on, and so we left on quite a little bit of a cliffhanger when Guy was talking about having a dick in his brain. So we're going to continue with that conversation. You're going to see how that transitions. And Guy's definitely going to get a little bit weird in this session about brain and pain and how he was able to get rid of things like that. Also, trusting yourself and creating a container. What does that look like for the both of them? And how to own it and create it. And again, healing from Aya. So, and then I think the end of this is the exercise about temporality, which is an amazing exercise. So definitely stay tuned for that. So hope you enjoy it. If you like this, please let us know, Elon@SatoriPrime.com, or you can leave us a comment and a review in iTunes or Stitcher. Would love for you to do that as well. All right, enjoy.
You, my friend, have like the most incredible stories about what you can do with your body and healing and all this stuff that I was just like, Guy,
come again?
I want to do that too.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Shit, I don't even know how to get into all that.
Yeah. You have a dick in your brain. I mean,
yeah.
Can we just say that?
There's a dick in my brain, guys. Possibly there's one being fucking your brain too right now. You just don't know about it. I mean, without the dick brain talk, which we can get back into what that means, it's an appendage that I've discovered in the brain that I have control over. Here's what I want to tell you guys, because I a lot of it is really big thinking. Like her and I are big thinking. So we know we don't have to talk about the under. It's only been like an hour and change. So her and I, if we talk, we can talk at the high level, because the underlying stuff, we've cemented that stuff for ourselves. Yeah. But I want to have some pragmatism, so for whoever's listening, they're like, holy fucking shit, that's a big fucking mountain to climb.
Yeah.
But here's what I want to tell you guys, what she's a master at is the power of sharing. She gets something, but everyone's having breakthroughs all the time. You're sitting on the toilet taking a poop, and suddenly you have this thought, or you're driving in the car, you look out the side view mirror, and you have this thought, and usually the thoughts are I'm never going to do that again, or I'm going to start doing that again, or start doing this every day, my health is important, and it just comes out of the blue. And then what Marci does, and what I want you guys to tap into, is everything you pretty much learned since you were a child about how shit works, everything works the exact opposite way. Literally, if you could just flip... Done! If you flip over your entire belief system exactly 180 degrees, and it's literally how it all works. So I'll give you an example. This word, your word, is what creates. I'm not a religious person, but the first words in the Bible are, and God spoke. Yeah. Meaning, spoke into reality, reality came into existence with word. Yep. So the world is the word, and the word is the world. No coincidence that those two words are that close to each other also, right? And you can prove this to yourself through what's called the mirror stage in Freudian terms. You can prove it to yourself if you read Helen Keller's book and her experience of life before and after learning language. She'll describe what it was like to be a entity without language, and her complete singularity experience. And then the first word comes in and the world comes in, and she understands sky and all these different things immediately.
Your story on the colors.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah. So
that proves it too.
So another one is they'll take a color palette and put 35 colors in a color palette, sit an American down and say, how many colors can you see? They'll sit a Russian person down and they see twice as many, and it's just because in language Russians have a lot more words for variations in colors. So in reality, Russians can see more blue than an American can. Think about that.
Yeah. Blowing
your mind, right? So when you get a breakthrough, or you get some kind of transformative thought, which again happens a lot throughout the day, you don't get it because me and Marci, we meet, we go, hey guy, hey Gaia, hey Marci. And then from the moment we meet each other, we start asking each other questions like we are now. Why? So we can pull the stories out, because this is the way humans upload and download information to one another. This is how we know. I know what Marci likes, she knows what I don't like all this kind of stuff. And then we train our environment.
I'll force feed her baguettes.
Yeah, she'll force feed her baguettes till the cows come home. And then but here's the thing, you train your environment how to respond to you, and then you're in an argument with your environment responding to you that
Yes.
way. You're the one responsible for creating an environment that responds to you that way, and then you go, fuck you.
Yep.
Right? So then you have a transformative experience, and this is what I call, it's called your network, right? So people are having conversations about you that you've trained them to have about you, but then you have a transformative thought, like, wow, I've been this horrible with my mom for 30 fucking years. No wonder that relationship's not working. And you want to go up to your, you have your transformation, and you think to yourself, okay, well, I'm going to start showing up differently for mom. But then you get around mom, and mom's like, Bobby, what the fuck is this? All the same shit mom does. And you flip the fuck out, and there goes your transformation.
Yeah.
But the reason that doesn't work is because the moment you have a transformative thought, you think that everyone's just going to see your transformation, and you don't share about it, so that they're still programmed to the old story.
I love that you're doing that.
Yeah, and that way you step out into your environment, and one of the ways humans decipher their reality is through agreement. If a lot of people agree, it must be true. But since you have no agreement for this transformation in your environment, you go, I guess that didn't happen. Yep. Right? People like me and Marci, we understand the power of sharing. We understand the power of enrollment. So when we have a transformative thought, we're like, from the rooftops, I'm $1 million fucking dollars! Right? That's how we work, because we want everybody in our fucking environment to realize this is how I'm related to now.
Agreement.
Yeah, you agree with it, right? And it's it's about getting her enrollment for that. So now she steps out into her environment, everyone's like, yeah, Marci's the $1 million coach.
And guess what? If anyone says, that scares me, awesome, I love and bless and honor you to be in the space you are, and know that's always about you, has nothing to do with me.
100%.
And, I'm just being a mirror for you, and rejection equals protection, so you can run away and create the space for those people who are in that agreement and in alignment to me. And I was telling you, basically when you got here, I was like, it's amazing to me, even as I've now declared this, was showing up for me, the invites. I just got invited to go be in a mastermind of some of the most highly influential creators to create this certain thing. And they're like, we're gonna have dinner inside the vault where the Rockefellers were, and the money and all this stuff. I'm just like, and no wonder I'm being invited into the space of the people who I get to influence at this degree and this level.
Right.
Yeah, if I didn't declare it, it wouldn't happen.
Yep.
Yes.
Just through declaration. Through declaration.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
And guys, and think about this. So your power is in how many people agree upon which that you are. If we took Obama and we took away distinction president, and we just put him on a street corner, and he said the shit he says, he sounds like a crazy person. You give him distinction president, the whole world's on bated breath, waiting for something to happen, right? So that stuff, that agreement matters so much to us as a reality, as singular people, and as a whole, and what that means to the planet, right? Yeah. So when we're talking about global transformation, it's just sharing of that idea. Go ahead.
So here's a thought.
Yes.
You already knew. I was like, that's something, right? Where, what if, or the space I think creates that, right? Is you don't need the agreement from other people. You simply choose it for yourself.
Yes.
So when you say, I have to choose it for myself, to say, this is what I'm aligned to, this is what I get to have. Now, because of that, my whole world and environment has changed. Where I grew up, on a farm, we had to grow our own food to survive. My stories with money were not this.
Wonderful, yeah.
Right? Let alone my body, from sicknesses, diseases, anorexia, bulimia, you name it. From stalker attempts, rape attempts, kidnapping. There was no, love's okay, epic relationships exist. All this, as I slowly chose in on a different story and agreement, my world had to shift and change. But it starts with you being the person by yourself, not to go, okay, can you go, so if we're okay, it takes a share and an agreement, what's going to happen is just what first person to pick me up when I get home says to me, wow, yeah, I saw you're doing $1 million level.
Yeah.
Whoa, wow, most people, somebody, he was saying how he had told someone I'm already a $250,000 coach, right? $250,000, and the person couldn't wrap their head around it.
Yeah.
They're like, how is that? What does she do to, I don't understand. How can anyone pay $250,000 to talk to someone once a week? And I'm like, yep, that's okay. He's just not at the level of acceptance or transcendence that I am, right? And so it's probably most likely going to come up for people that you see the evidence of what you have believed. And it's choosing, that's okay, that's my past story, what's the new belief and perception I want now?
Yes.
And how do I declare this and be okay with other people saying, I don't agree with you. Cool, I honor you. I honor you and so it's you see this down to the simplest form, Facebook, right? Where, it's interesting if someone ever says, lashes out, my response is not, well, fuck you, or I'm right, or let me block you. It's simply I can understand that perception, and I honor you to have whatever experience you want. This is what resonates for me. This is what resonates for me, and this is what I choose.
Right.
You know, totally okay with that.
And I also think when you pick a bigger experience, like that's a new muscle that you're now developing also, right? Like that muscle is not fully developed. So you're like, it's starting to do the reps. So what shows up around you is not like all the opportunities immediately for $1 million. It's like the little tests that come along the way. Because the universe, God, whatever you want to call it, to me, I always feel like you create, and then it goes, are you really sure?
Yes.
Like it's whispering in your ear, like, are you really sure? And it's like, what's going to arise are the opportunities that you need to step through in order to fully see that arise on the planet, right?
Yep.
So again, it's like, it's some coincidence. The first person you meet is like, are you sure, Marci? You know, like, of course it's going to show up because it's like, this is your first test. Like, yeah, I'm fucking sure.
Yeah.
Right? And that's the opportunity to now enroll that person to create agreement back into that reality.
Yeah.
And then again, if our measurement of reality is agreement, you want your environment, like force feeding the whatever reality you want to be experiencing back to you. So you want to be like enrolling the people in your environment. Like, and that could be down to like, I'm quitting smoking cigarettes, or I want to lose 10 pounds, or like my relationship with my mom needs to get better, like all that stuff. But here's where I want to say, like, how fucked up our society is right now. Down to like a birthday wish. We've been told superstitions not to say your birthday wish. Guys, that's the exact opposite of how it works in manifesting. Exactly. So it's like, here's everybody who cares, who can get enrolled in your idea of the thing you want most this year, and you're going, no, I'll keep it inside. Like, are you fucking mental? Yeah, it should be the exact opposite. You should be like, I'm making $150,000 this month. And declare that to the people who care. That it's going to manifest like that. So that's what I'm saying. Like, everything's ass backwards. So know that, right? Like, know that our measure of, just so you know, like, measurement of reality is your 5 senses. Terrible measurement for reality. It's like 95% wrong. And then like agreement is another big one. There's a much
and even
more...
you're feeling like, oh, this doesn't feel good. Well, that's because you're fucking scared because you're on the edge of your comfort zone of where you want to stay and run and hide instead of like, ooh, why? And like, internal processing and all this. I mean, you could end it just by being like, everything's ass backwards.
Boom, ass backwards. So, but I want to talk a little bit about healing because we mentioned physical healing. So the medicine itself could be extremely physically healing. Like, I've healed major issues in my back. Marci mentioned she got like knee surgery, and this is not this is not a euphemism or a metaphor.
I got a new knee.
Yeah, literally, like the medicine goes in and like energetically can heal your body, and it's like on demand almost. You're like, please heal this, and you literally feel this like entity like moving towards heating it up, cleaning. I got some surgery done back here. I don't even know why, but it was near the liver for sure. Like something,
which is what stores anger, and why you can see from the past the anger and the storing and the holding the ego down. Why it was there in your body.
Yes, so true. Which is amazing how timing works. And I don't believe in coincidences. I've just recently started working with an acupuncturist the last month, and she took one feeling on my pulse, and she's like, it's very fiery. You have too much fire in the liver. Depression shows up from that. Anger shows up from that. Like every side effect I've ever had in my life. And sure enough, I go to ayahuasca like a week later, and this thing is like yanking fire out of my liver, which is just pinged me that's probably what's happening. But here's what I want to tell you guys. Let's talk about healing, right? You have a physical ailment, or you have an ailment. You go to the doctor, and the doctor pops you a pill. And what the pill's doing is the pill has chemicals in it that go up into your brain, and what they're doing is they're hacking receptor sites. They're basically like disrupting receptor sites so that the brain can effectively send signals from your body to your brain that says there's pain there, go heal it, right? So in your mind, it feels like everything is fine because now you're creating detachment between your body and your mind. And then you think, well, I'm fine, but that's why every pill you see on TV has 20 or 30 side effects, because while you're blocking the signals from entering your brain, your body's fucking dying at the same time. And that's why your body's like diarrhea and fucking dying, because it's not getting signals sent to it properly, so it's just like destroying itself from within, okay? Second level of healing is kind of what we're talking about, is like understand the mind, understand language, understand phenomenology, start treating yourself so that when the roots are growing out of control in the weeds, at least you're like, oh shit, there's weeds over here. I should probably grab the weed whacker and like do a little housekeeping around here. Shit's getting out of control, okay? And that's like treatment, because the weeds are going to keep on growing. Like, you know, we can get some weed killer or whatever the hell it's called, Roundup, and like kill some weeds, but next year there's going to be weeds again, right? It's not the cure. And I want to talk to you guys about the experience that she kind of mentioned with some of the physical stuff I've been able to do. And this all got sourced from doing Vipassana, or Vipassana, as it seems to be interchangeable. Some people make me wrong for the Shna. I don't care. I don't know.
We don't care.
I remembered it was Shna. They taught me it's Shna. I said, I don't fucking care. What's the difference? It works. Yeah, so I sat in silence for 10 days meditation, and you can't look at anybody. There's no looking at people in the eyes. You can't gesture to them, nothing. So it's like basically like a very isolationist experience. But I want to talk to you guys about the subconscious mind, What's this conscious helicopter? Wow, that's a big point. Yeah, that's good. Yeah. There's a giant military helicopter bringing freedom and peace somewhere in the world, I'm sure. Here's what I want you guys to understand. I was highlights of things I'm now able to do as a function of this meditation. Yeah. And part of it I want to say is during my experience, ayahuasca served because I had felt some of this stuff in my body before, so like I kind of knew what to do. Yeah. But just highlights really quick. I can feel, and again, it's not at the same level of sensitivity, so I want to make sure that I'm authentically speaking what's happening right now. I can feel my brain releasing peptides, I think peptides, into receptor sites in my brain. So I can literally feel like the signals being sent in. I can control the receptor sites by opening and closing them, just like you would a muscle, just like your hand. I could also go into the receptor sites and actually pull out these peptides. And these are peptides that are sending signals into my body. So like I can feel where my knee is in my brain, and I can literally squeeze on it like a muscle, and when I squeeze on it, I can go in there and just drill out these peptides, and because the peptides disappear, they're the ones sending the pain signal to my body, and my body responds with inflammation. So the moment I remove it, the body responds by deflating. You can literally touch me while I do it, and you'll feel my body going like that, like it's like air is coming out of it. So when I was able to do that, after I discovered it, within about 15 minutes, my body was able to be about 10 times more flexible than it was right before. And again, not because I was more flexible, because I removed the inflammation from body parts that have had an experienced inflammation for so long, like again, like your knees, your back, your neck, all these areas that hurt so much for everybody, that the body just responds with flexibility. Like think about a baby. They're not like going to yoga classes 10 times a week. They're just naturally flexible. There's no inflammation in the body. So that was part of it. And then I found a few organs in the brain, which we'll leave for a later conversation. But again, one of them controls the movement of the hemispheres in my brain, literally like an appendage of finger, and the other one's like a snake, believe it or not, that retracts out of the back of my brain. And
that's the dick in the brain.
That's the dick in the brain.
Which we like to call it.
Yeah, we like to call it the dick in the brain. It's more fun. Some people have a dick in a box. I got a dick in the brain. Hey, Ma, there's a dick in the brain. Hey, get that dick out of your brain. So this snake is like has a mouth, and what it's shooting out is these peptides, and they come out like chains. I could feel it feels like water almonds basically, and I can feel all this stuff happening. It also seems to be responsible for repair of some kind. Like if things get amiss up here, like I've gone up there and fucked with my energy a little bit and felt like I scar tissued something, and it literally comes out and like fixes everything. It's pretty amazing. Also, if I unload everything from this dick, my body will double in size. It looks like I'm retaining water, and then I can like bring it all back in and shrink down. And one day I will probably do this on camera so you guys can see this. But I have I documented some of these things at the end of it. Now here's what I'm telling you. All that is fun, and that was not even the point of the meditation. I was just fucking around with stuff in my brain. Thank God I'm not dead for it.
And if you were, you'd be okay.
Yeah, I'd be good with it too. I'd be like, that was it's so fun. But here's what I want to tell you guys. I've come to understand that the part of the brain that we're calling subconscious is not subconscious at all. And I actually believe that the subconscious actually lives more in the body than in the mind. I'm sure it's related, actually. And what at least my experience is that this whole mechanism is in atrophy. So you can call the body like your input and output sensory device, right? It's how we receive information. In the movie Avatar, for instance, like the people were the avatars, and then they could connect to the animal. So the way I like to think about it is like the mind is the avatar, like the person, and this is the animal. And there's a connection between these two that can be severed or it can be created. Again, the pills are severing that connection. And this really is your like animalistic tool. Like this is the part of the brain that's made us conscious and imaginative and stuff like that. So they live separately, right? And we have not been taught how to create a deep and meaningful connection between these two. For any of you guys who have done hallucinogenics, you know that in those moments you have a deep connection between these two, even if you've not understood that yet. And the feeling of oneness that you're getting is because this connection is suddenly available to you. And you'll notice that where there was subjectivity in your life, suddenly there's like nothing but objectivity. Just like ayahuasca, it's like, and then the answers are just like flowing, like you could just see, right? You're just connected. So here's the analogy I want to give you guys. The subconscious part of you is like very fertile soil, and we've had this conversation, but I'll reiterate for you because it's so super important. And in this soil is what gets planted in there is your reactions to things. So like everything you're averting, everything you're craving, these are the responses that you have in life. And every time you have one of them, I want you to imagine that from your subconscious mind. So every time you react, I want you to imagine that this like reaction, which actually looks like that, like a Merkaba, goes out into the subconscious part of you, hits the fertile soil, and a tree like immediately grows. If you continue to react, which you do, because none of us have been taught how to stop these reactions, the fruit falls off the tree, disintegrates to the ground, leaves seeds, and you get more trees. Before you know it, you're standing in a fucking forest, right? Yeah. So if you're in a forest, again, think about like flying over a canopy, and the conscious part is like what you can see. So you can see the leaves, right? When you're flying over a canopy, you have no consciousness of what's underneath this canopy. Yeah. Now, if you were to do developmental work on your conscious mind, on understanding language and its effect on human beings, it's going to get you down to the branches, will even get you down into the bark, and will eventually get you down into the roots. And you'll be able to do some root work, but you'll never really feel cured. And it's almost like if I gave you an axe or like a weed whacker, you can sit there and like cut everything down. That didn't look like cutting down at all. But the way...
Do we turn this into a sexual joke again?
Wow. It's a great Marci. So good. But right, the moment you stop chopping down those trees or keeping your eye on the weeds, like it's just going to grow back again, right? And that's where there's no cure. There's just treatment, not cure. So this type of work gets you down to the subconscious level and allows you to uproot the trees. But with subconscious work, with ayahuasca also, you'll leave there and you'll have this like realignment and this like deep knowing of like, whoo, something's really fucking different around here. Yep. Now, it might not get up to your conscious mind for 6 to 18 months to really understand what happened to you. And again, think about the tree. Like if I uproot the roots, and the tree starts falling over, the last thing that hits the ground is the leaves, where the conscious mind is. Yeah. So it takes a long time to work its way up the chain. Yeah. But here's like a key takeaway, whether or not you do this practice or not. Here's how it can become functional in your life right away. So here's what I've now understood. When people are out in public, again, you're receiving information through your body all the time. Now, you guys are aware of gross sensations in your body, like when you have an itch or like a burn, right? Like that's a sensation that you're experiencing, but that's at the highest level. Now, think about all the way down the chain, down to your subatomic levels. There is constantly sensory input coming in through the body, constant vibration and sensations that you're not aware of because you haven't trained yourself to be conscious of them yet. Again, it's an atrophy. Imagine if you can start going down those levels and start sensing things that aren't gross sensations at all, but these like very like mild, almost like an electric current inside of your body. So if you could do that, like if you're out in public and someone's speaking or yelling or laughing over there, we can measure thought, we can measure language. There's energy being output, which means it's like a pulse, or like boo, like out like that. Yep. And when that boo is eventually going to hit you, even from far away, and then you go, ooh, I have an itch. Yep. And you wonder where that's coming from. Yep. That's your environment talking to you. Now, I want to just, again, in pragmatic ways, like in Indonesia, when the typhoon came, humans died. Mm-hmm. Bear in mind, not a single animal died when that happened. Not one. Not one fucking animal. Mm-hmm. Now, we're the smart ones, right? So think about what's the difference between us and this animal. We have the frontal lobe, right? Which has disconnected us from our body because we rely so heavily on this consciousness that we forgot that there's this whole other sensory input device. Mm-hmm. The animals that they're down to the subatomic level probably, or pretty deep in. Mm-hmm. So when their environment is speaking and there's a whole bunch of energy coming at them, they're like, something's wrong. And they start going, right? Mm-hmm. We need to see first. And again, we talk, I'm sure you tell everyone this too, like, this life is not about seeing to believe. It's about believing to see. Yep. These animals fucking believe because they're getting sensory input devices. Yep. Now, we have that ability too. Yep. And that's where our superhero genius lies, is in activating this subconscious part of ourselves that really isn't. Even in the movie Lucy, yes, she's activating her brain, but notice how her body gets in tune, like all these things, right? Like, it's all the same. So that pulsation, you can start becoming aware of that and start getting information from your environment. And again, on ayahuasca, it takes you to the nth degree of that experience. Yep. Now, most people don't understand it because they only have reason at the cognitive and language level, and they haven't done the inner work to upgrade the sensory input. So they think that, oh, okay, my mind is opening up. No, it's all opening up. Yep. And that's why, like, you start getting massive answers because you're absorbing from the environment information and you're aware of it. So you become a fucking genius instantaneously. Yep. So I really want Marci to talk to all this because I know she's got a whole bunch of shit going on in there. But I want to give you a small exercise, guys, about this. Here's the truth that I've come to understand. Everything in life is temporary. There is no permanence to anything in this universe. Everything is just rising and passing, rising and passing. Our lives, moths' lives, stars' lives, it doesn't matter. It's a micro of the macro. Like over and over again, cells are born, they die. It's just the way of it is. It's the universal
like the 4 seasons. It has to be created, birthed, maintained, destroy, and then destroyed to create space for the next.
Yeah. So this is universal truth, and it's hard to find universal truths, so it's good to know at least one of them. So this is one, like things arising and passing, including your thoughts and feelings and all that stuff included. If that's the case, and I'm telling you that everything starts in the body like a sensation. So like, you know when you have an itch on your body, if you react to the itch and you start going like this, or a rash, what happens to the itch or the rash? It grows, right? And then it's like, oh, suddenly I'm itchy over here, suddenly I'm itchy over here, suddenly I have a rash over here. That's the reaction is spreading that thing. The moment you stop reacting, what happens? Start shrinking back down. Same thing with headaches. You had a headache, try not to think about the headache that's reacting to the headache seems to grow, you pop that pill, and in that moment, you're not just taking the pill, you're also saying to yourself, oh good, the pill's in, I can stop thinking about the headache, you stop reacting, and the headache seems to start going away almost immediately as a pill goes in, right? A lot of times you can't tell the difference, what's working. So again, if that's the case, if you're feeling something ill in your life, or you're feeling bad, or whatever it might be, it's starting at the sensation level, and then it works its way up. So it's a sensation, then some kind of feeling maybe, or intuition, that goes into the mind interprets all that stuff, turns it into language, and then you output it into here, and then put that action into reality, and that's how it works. Now reverse engineer that, everything starts with sensation. Now here's the truth, guys. Everything is just a sensation. All your thoughts, your feelings, everything you've ever done in your life always started with some sensation in the body. And the real truth is it was just a sensation. Everything you added to it, all the meaning, all the bullshit you created around it, you made that up here with this little feeble, awesome tool. And so if you're having a problem, whether it's like depression or sadness or whatever it is, notice that there is a feeling in the body at the same time. Like you never have an emotion to think to yourself, oh, good, the body feels great, but my mind is fucked to hell.
Unless they've completely blocked it.
Yeah, right.
It can be, they've gone that deep
into
the rabbit hole of disconnection.
And that could be like psychosomatic diseases of all kinds that we can name, right? But again, this stuff heals psychosomatic diseases by its very nature. So if you're feeling, let's say, depressed or sad right now, sit there for a moment and to key in, like, what's happening in the body. Now, you might feel like you're being choked over here, or there's like a heaviness in your chest, or like a pit in your stomach. But again, notice, like, realize the truth. There's just a sensation. And also realize the other universal truth is it's passing and falling, which again, ayahuasca is very clear about, like the temporal nature, like things are just like, boom, 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 like moving really fast. And if that's the case, all you have to do is close your eyes, it's just a few minutes, close your eyes, and just observe the sensation. Don't add meaning to it, just observe the truth, which is just a sensation. And you will see, like, all sensations, if you just observe it, it will just disappear on its own, because it has its lifespan of rising and passing. Maybe it'll take an hour, I don't fucking know, it depends on how deep that shit is rooted, I guess. But like, if you just let it pass, because this is the root of your emotional state, it's the root of your thought state, guess what's going right along with it? The emotions and the thought disappear right with it, and it works every fucking time.
So, have you ever listened to my Freedom audios?
No.
Okay, so several things which I love that you brought so much attention to, and something that was coming up for me is ultimately what we're talking about, and this is where I think people could listen to what we're saying and go, whoa, yeah, you guys are so fucking out there, and you're talking about these abilities with your body, all these things, that parameters, they're like, that does not exist, I can't understand, I have to take pills and da-da-da, and I don't know how to feel or any of these things. And what the goal of this message, or at least for me, what's coming out is hearing this is the level of ease that's possible when you align to your superhero abilities. So just like the animals save themselves because they felt something, they were in tune with that energy. And we're talking about how, like, I came out of the jungle and I'm like my coaching is up level to the degree that I can make this massive transformation for people, because I can, like, I can feel the intuition, the inspiration, the energy. I can feel their energy before we're even on the phone.
Yes.
And have these understandings out that are so much greater than just me being in what I thought I could do with my body. Now, something I want to bring attention to is that there's a reason why when you're first born, it takes you time to open up your eyes and to use your eyes. Like, it's like kids can't see out of their eyes when they're first born, right? Because you've been using your third eye chakra to see. You were feeling sound, you were hearing everything, you were taking everything through energy, through sensation, through feeling.
Right.
You didn't need your fucking eyes to find evidence. You were operating out of your third eye. So all of a sudden we become human beings born, and we're like trying to open our eyes, and then we start to go out of this, trusting this instead of everything that is in our being, our energy. Now let's speak to energy, because people even go, well, what do you mean, like this whole energy connection? I feel like somebody's word, etc. It's just like, I've used this analogy where you've hugged somebody, and like when we hug, it's like, oh God, love to see you, and it's like I can sit and love you for a second, and there's this feeling of melting and love, And then when you could go turn around and hug somebody else, it's like hugging a rock with limbs, right? You're like
cold.
Yeah. So that's energy, right? And so the thing that I want to bring attention to is that we even when you say like everything's a sensation, the feeling, so a big part of my teaching is helping people connect to the level of this is how you're meant to fucking operate. You are meant to fucking operate through feeling, and it's not what you see, it's not what you hear, it's what are you feeling. So in my freedom audios that I teach, like my 5 steps to overcome sabotage, it's all about tuning in and going, oh, what am I feeling? If I'm feeling in my chest, this represents sadness. And what if we actually went into the question and go, what am I really sad about?
Yes.
What is the thought or there? But when we just tend to like shut down feelings. So from the time we're little, I'll use this example. You get pushed on the playground at 2 years old and you go running up to mom and dad and you're crying, right? And do they go, what are you feeling? What's going on in there? Like, what are you experiencing? Are we curious? Are we asking questions? Are we tuning into like, what's the experience and what am I creating from this experience? Instead we go, shh, it's okay. Shh, like, which tells you shut it down.
Yeah.
Emotion is bad. So you've literally from the time you're little programmed, crying is not okay, emotion is bad. And so you were even talking to anger, etc. And see, when we see all things out of actually the greatness that it gives us, if I think of it as, if you say, I'm connected to source, universe, whatever words you want to use, God, and I'm this divine creation, right? Like I'm operating through beingness, which is the vibration I'm putting out, the energy, my perceptions, my thoughts, my words are all creating around me. And so I have this flow of energy coming through me here, right? The moment I say, it's not okay for me to express anger, it goes, it's not okay for me to express sadness. It's not okay for me to experience this or this or this. We literally go into this conformity mask of like, okay, I'm a fucking garden hose connected that's kinked, and you wonder why the fuck you can't manifest. Because you're not operating at a level of how you've been divinely created. What we are talking about here is remembering how you've been created to experience. Simply by, So even, we could go deep into, when someone scratches their nose, it wasn't even that, they felt the energy. It's like, ooh, it literally everything's body language, everything. Someone's crossing when I'm breaking people down, like in live retreats, and all of a sudden their body.
Yeah.
And I'm like, let's open back up.
Yeah.
Let's be okay with this, because it all connects to what's going on inside here. But we are so disconnected to that. So when you're saying like someone's like, they've even blocked how they feel. I've had people I've coached where they're like, I don't know how to feel, because they shut down feeling a long time ago.
I was one of those.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So and just if anything, this hopefully will give some put an ear towards for these individuals, whoever chooses to listen to this, of what is possible. Like when you're operating at this level of being, this is what we're talking about. You might think all this is fucking crazy. And like,
And we hope that you do.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like, wow, I am so fucking honored to be crazy. Like, please, thank God I am crazy.
Yeah.
Because Mark Twain says it best, when you find yourself on the side of the majority, it's time to pause and reflect. So when people call me crazy, I'm like, fuck yes. I like being one of the crazy ones, because I want to be the 1% of the 1%. And all we're talking about here is, if you're not experiencing, first off, at the level of your life where you're talking about you're experiencing depression or unhappy or any of those things, well, we want you to hear it. That's a choice. And you actually can shift that experience. And how do you start to shift that experience? And then align yourself to the place of, I am worthy of relationships, awesome, my body, awesome, all this. And then even align yourself to the place of like, and I can actually receive and manifest, do anything I want at this level, like heal my body. That's what's possible. But most people aren't willing to stand up. So I want to honor you, and even like sharing all your experiences, and like that's what I just loved, having these conversations with you, and like, you fucking get it, is that most people won't stand up and say, yeah, I understand that you're experiencing this with your body. Are you willing to face the truth? It's a choice. You created this from the emotions, the disconnect, like shaming yourself, not loving yourself, etc. And this is what's actually possible. You've healed your body from amazing things. I've healed my body, and what you're capable of doing with your body, I'm just like, I'm still like in awe, and I'm like, cool, I'm going there.
That makes the two of us.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they kind of hit it on the head here. I think what I really enjoyed the most about this conversation, obviously I've heard some of these stories from Guy and Marci as well, but I think what I like the best is their ability to just openly share stuff that to some people you're like, you two are batshit crazy, and they just don't care because they do believe that it's valuable to the right audience. And I think that's amazing. How many of us have the ability to just share what there is for us to share in that kind of raw fashion? So we have one more part coming your way in the next couple of days, so stay tuned for that. And again, if you've enjoyed this, please comment, let us know. Elon at SatoriPrime.com. You can leave reviews on iTunes. And feel free to obviously share these with your friends or anyone that you think would get value from it. That's why we put this stuff together. And until we speak again, have an amazing, amazing day, my friends.
Did you run through doors till you hit the floor? Did you read my eyes and my aching thoughts? Did you walk through walls till you had to grow? Oh my God, your smile and my soundless calls. Did